a data, what I'll do is I will initiate a query, and that query will pass through the communication module, and it will reach all the 5 of them, including me. I mean, we are 6 of us, 6 students plus me 7. So over the communication module, it will reach all the 6 stations. So at all the six stations, it will retrieve the data, and there would be one system. Let us assume that Priyadarshan is being tagged as a station which does the processing. I repeat what I said. We have 7 standalone systems in the distributed database management system, in the distributed network. Okay, so we have 7 workstations. 7 of us are in the workstation, or are in the distributed network. I require a data. When I require a data, I query it. It passes through the communication module, and it reaches all the standalone systems, and it will not directly come to me. Rather, it will go and go to Priyadarshan's site. Why does it go to Priyadarshan's site? Because Priyadarshan is tagged as a data processing site or data processing server. Are you understanding my point? So from there, Priyadarshan is going to aggregate the data, and only then it will reach to me. When I say processing the data, it means that he is going to aggregate, because I'm supposed to get the data from 6 different places, isn't it? So all the 6 data will first get processed in Priyadarshan's site, and then it will be coming back to me because I need the data. Likewise, if say Sahana requests for a data. So Sahana is going to initiate the query. That query is going to come over the communication module. It will reach to all of us, but all the data is not directly going to Sahana. Rather, it will first go to Priyadarshan, because Priyadarshan's site is the data processing site. So that process is, I mean, the data is getting processed there, and then it will be communicated to the initiator of that particular query, and through the communication module, it reaches that particular initiator. This is how the distributed process, that is what I mean by processing. So here when we say distributed processing, what does it mean? It means it's a DB logical processing shared among 2 or more physically independent sites that are connected over the network. All the independent sites are connected through the network, and one computer performs the I/O, data selection and validation, while the second computer creates the reports. To quote this example, as I said, the processing happens in one place. The reporting may be done by another case. One of the examples that I can give is, see, all of us visit this our Amrita cafeteria. All of us have gone to Amrita cafeteria. I mean, unlike the first years who has still not stepped into the campus. The rest of all of us, we spend a lot of time in the cafeteria, right? And there, when you go to the counter, we know our Kishan Bhai is there, and when he, he gives you a bill, isn't it? He gives you a token kind, where he writes some kind of token number and he gives it to you. So that particular system, see, when I say distributed system, or when I say a workstation, it need not be a computer again. It need not be a computer. What happens is, you have a particular system, you have that that's called a POS. I don't remember the full form of that. POS, where he'll be able to generate the bill, right? So which means that he's only going to do the report generation. That is also a part of a distributed system. This is a very small example that I took up. But in a real-time scenario, now say for example, in case I consider Amrita's counseling to be a distributed system, assuming it to be a distributed system, if our job, the Bangalore site's job, is only to print the provisional admission order, it means that it is only going to do that particular processing. Whereas there would be other site which is responsible for updating the seat matrix there. So what I'm trying to tell you is, it is like multi-processing system or multiple processor system, where you have multiple processors doing multiple jobs. You've already learned that in the operating system. You have multiple processors there, and each processor is going to divide the work amongst itself and perform the job. And why do you require that? So that there is a faster execution of data. That's exactly what the distributed processing also means. You have multiple workstations, multiple standalone database system, and each of them is expected to do one kind of job. In a real-time scenario, in applications which are big, which are distributed, and which needs constant communication, such kind of things are done. There would be one particular site which will not be able to generate any report. So somebody else has to do that. One of the sites will do it, and it will distribute it across the network to the other sites. That is distributed processing. Whereas distributed database means you have this database, the standalone database, servers are present at all the sites. It's basically a redundant data. It's a replicated data. See, as I said, everything has pros and cons. So one of the negative part that you can see about distributed databases is that the data may be redundant, but not to a great extent. But you'll have to trade off. See, when you do not want a single point of failure. You would require multiple. I mean, you need to have some kind of security with respect to your data. So there is a trade-off. Trade-off means to gain, there is a saying, to gain something, you have to lose something. So the gain here is that you have a data reliability here. But at what cost? At the cost of data redundancy. But even when I say data redundancy, it's not too much of data redundancy here also. You will get to know when I show you the schematic representation. Okay. Distributed processing is you have multiple servers performing, or multiple standalone systems which are doing the henceforth, instead of using standalone system, I would use the term site, SITE. When I say different site, I mean they have a separate server, or they are one of the server and database geographically located at a different place, being a part of distributed network. Site is the word I'll be using, SITE. So different sites will be processing different kind of data, and distributed database is you have standalone systems, you have different separate servers at different geographically, they are located in different places. You can see a picture here of distributed processing environment. Here you can see, this is one very good example. You have a server here, and you have a server at both the places also. The database is present in both the cases. In this case, the communication happens at through the communication network. You can see there is one user who is named New York user Donna. What is she doing? She is updating the payroll. Okay, she's updating the payroll. Then what is this server doing, or this user doing? This is a user called Victor who is in Atlanta. And what is this person doing? This person is generating the payroll report. So you can see that the jobs are distributed. Database records are processed in different locations. And you have one user called Joe who has initiated this job. So whatever job this person wants update in the payroll and also generate the report. So updating the payroll is done by one person, and generating the payroll report is done by another person. And based on her requirement, that is reached to her or him, whatever the person is, and it reaches the initiator through the communication network. This is distributed processing environment, where the processing is distributed across different geographical area. Distributed database environment, what happens is you have the database itself replicated multiple times. In as many number of sites you have, so many number of sites, the data is replicated. You should have asked me a question. Isn't it like a centralized database system? See, in centralized system, what did I say? You have just one single system, one single place of database, and you have multiple sites connected to that particular server. This schematic representation also shows the same thing. But one thing you should understand is, in a centralized database system, you have a database in one place, and the processing also happens at that place. This site do not perform any kind of processing. All the data processing and all the database is present at one particular location. That is centralized database system, where you have data also in one place, processing also happens in the same place. And after the data is processed, it has been communicated to different sites. In case of distributed databases, you retrieve the data and the processing can happen elsewhere. This is one of the architectures of distributed databases. And in this case, as I said, the data are replicated in all the sites that is present in the network, and the data is retrieved from here itself, and it performs the data processing and passes it on. So that was data distributed processing and distributed database environment. Now coming to, one second, I messed up the. Next, coming to characteristics of DDBMS. Characteristics of DDBMS, most of them, you can see the last four are similar to your characteristics of a database management system. Anyway, I'll come to that last. First, let me start off with these interfaces. Application interface is required. Application interface is the interface that you have with the software for the processing purpose. That is the application interface. You need to have a good application interface for your whatever application that you're developing. Then validation, that is a data validation. Whether the data is being put, you know the job of authorization and integration manager. So proper validated data has to be inserted. That is also a part of your DDBMS. Transformation and formatting, you can see there is a term called transformation and there is a formatting also. Transformation and formatting are, transformation comes into picture whenever you have heterogeneous database systems that is present in different sites. I may be using one kind of database, the second site may be using another different kind of databases. So there, when the data processing happens, it becomes at most important that whatever databases that you take up from a different sites, all of them should be transformed into a single form so that the data processing can happen. Okay, because when you have different kinds of formats or different kinds of different types of databases, you cannot process it using the same processing unit or say processing mechanism. So everything has to be transformed into a single format, and only then the processing can happen. That is transformation. Whereas formatting, what happens is, see, some data may be present. Now units also may change. Now say, for example, if I store the height in terms of inches, feet and inches, and somebody else would have stored it in the form of say centimeters. So I need to see to that some kind of, this is all a part of pre-processing, students, where they are pre-processing the data for the processing purpose. So the feet and inches, that needs to be converted into the centimeters or whatever, vice versa, anything. So that's uniform formatting is also required. That is also taken care by this DDBMS. Query optimization is, you have try to recall the query processor in DBMS, RDBMS, where we have a query evaluation engine, isn't it? Query evaluation engine, what does it do? It is going to query evaluation engine, it is going to perform the query optimization, and it is going to execute the best evaluation plan. So that is again the job of DDBMS. Mapping is wherein you're going to take map which particular data you're going to get from which particular site. See, I did tell you that certain case, in one more point which I missed telling you was, see, in distributed database, when I say replication is there, one case is wherein the entire data is replicated. That is, the entire database is replicated in multiple sites. That is one case. In most of the cases, what happens is the entire database is actually split into vertically. They are split vertically or they are split horizontally. This is something that I missed saying. In distributed databases, let us say you have some 10 columns and 10 rows. You have one database which has got 10 rows and 10 columns. So what happens is, the distributed database will design your database such that your database itself is distributed across various sites. So when you have 10 columns and you have 5 sites, it may so happen that if you distribute your databases vertically, each of those 2 columns would be present in different sites. But yet there would be one column which is connecting. You know the concept of primary key already. So same thing applies even here. So what happens is one particular column will be common across all the sites, and they are connected together. That is one way of distributing the database. And the second case is wherein you have horizontal cutting, where the horizontal databases. In horizontal databases, what happens is in horizontal databases, what happens is the entire data, you have 10 rows, right? So those 10 rows are being divided into probably two rows, and it is distributed across various different sites. That is horizontal distribution. Anyway, when we execute them, we'll be able to understand. When we start executing this in the lab, you'll be getting a better picture of that. So mapping talks about that. From which site I'm supposed to get that particular data, where I have to map whatever query is I have got, where I'm supposed to map this, from where I'm supposed to get those data. So that is your mapping. This you will understand it better when we start executing our queries in DDBMS. So next week you will be able to get a clear picture about mapping. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Coming to security part, security is to have your data. Security and backup and recovery, they go hand in hand. So basically, you need to have a proper secure data, and for security, for the security of the data, you need to have this grant and revoke. That's basically the access permission of as to who can access, who cannot access. So those has to be properly done. We have that provision in DDBMS also. So that provision has to be utilized. A proper backup of the data has to be done. Yesterday's class, Vishnu was quoting about the different responsibilities of a database administrator. So a timely backup and recovery has to be done. Recovery comes into picture whenever a transaction fails. Here you have to recall the point of atomicity. So backup and recovery has to be done. A database administration has to happen. Database administration includes all of these, basically. Timely backup, see to it that the performance of your application is not getting degraded. You see to it that there is enough, space for the job to happen. So all these are the jobs or the responsibilities that the database administrator has to perform. Concurrency control, here you have to concurrency control and transaction management. We've already learned a separate chapter in RDBMS which talks about the locking system, where when one data is being accessed by one particular user, it is not being accessed by anybody else. That is the locking system. So concurrency control and transaction management is also a characteristics which the DDBMS has to take into account. Yeah. Characteristics of further, they say that all the functions has to be all the functions has to be done across all the systems. And wait one second, I'll just tell you this. See, here we spoke about validating, right? The validation is what kind of data will be stored into the database. So that kind of job is being taken care of. So what I'm trying to say is, like how we have the authorization and integration manager, we have buffer manager, we have file manager, and we have transaction manager. Likewise, there are certain modules, there are certain managers which is going to keep track of all these data processing. So DDBMS is supposed to have such kind of managers, such kind of modules, which is going to take care of all the necessary functions that we just now quoted. And definitely all the functions has to be transparently done to the end user. When we say transparently, it doesn't mean that the code has to be given. So when you say transparency, it also means that the end user is assured that the data is coming from the right source. So that is a part of security measure that I just now discussed, the characteristics of DDBMS. So authorized user, authentic user has to pass. The data integrity should not be questionable. So these are the characteristics of a distributed database management system. And here we have a fully distributed management systems schematic representation. What does this show? This picture is self-explanatory, where you can see that you have two different sites. Actually, there are four sites here. Okay, there are four sites here. And let me remind you, site means different geographically located. I mean, they are geographically located at different places, right? So you have four different sites here. You have two different sites which are having the entire database, and you have the other two sites are the data processing units. So you can see that all the four are connected through the communication module. Now, what is happening here? Why is it called a fully distributed database system, and why not just a distributed database system? This is called fully distributed because you can see that the data fetching is happening elsewhere. The processing is happening in another place. To give you an example, we'll just consider this example itself, and I'll quote you an example. I'll quote you how exactly the scenario is. So you can see that there are two different data stores, isn't it? One is A1 and the other is A2. And you have two sites here. Further sites, the users are sitting here. One is site 1 and site 2. Let us assume that, okay, there are people's name also written here. One is Mary and the other is Tom. Let us say that Mary is the initiator of the query. She requires some kind of data. Now, what happens is, whatever query she sends, that will pass through the communication module and it reaches the rest of the sites. Which are the other sites? It's A1, A2, and at the Tom site also. So three people. First, Mary would have executed the query as was told by Sahana. What happens is the query first gets executed in the standalone system. She does not get the data. So what happens? Next, it goes to the communication module. So when it goes to communication module, it passes to all the three sites which is present here. Then the database executes this and it will first go to A1. It is not present here. There would I told you about, try to recall what I spoke about a vertical distributed systems, where certain data may not be present in all the sites. They are vertically distributed. I just now gave you an example of 10. You have a database of 10 columns and two columns are being distributed across 5 different sites. So same way, even here, she would have asked for a data which is present in A2. So what happens is the data goes to all the sites and all the data are connected together. There is a communication between these two also. Site 1 interacts with A2, and let us assume that whatever Mary wants is present in A1. Okay, I said it is present in A2. Let us assume that whatever Mary requires, it is present in A1, and assume that Mary is first interacting with A2. So this data, this A2 is going to interact with A1. Mary to A2, A2 to A1. So that's how the interaction happens. So the entire data is fetched now. And where does it go for processing? She requires a report. Who is the report generation site? It is site 2. So after fetching the data, it is going to site 2 where the processing happens, and then it is passed to Mary. So you can see that there is a concept of distributed database because you do not have the entire database present at one particular site. So you have the entire database which is distributed. That is one point. And what is the second point? You can see that the processing happens elsewhere. It is not happening in the same site. So which means that the processing is also distributed. So that is the reason why we call this a fully distributed database system and not just the distributed system. Am I clear on this? You have the database distributed across the sites, and you also have the processing which is distributed across the different sites. Is that clear to everybody? Yeah.
Ma'am, so site 1 and site 2 doesn't have any kind of database.
It will have data. It will have database, but the data that site 1 requires will be present probably in A1 or A2. I told you about the vertical splitting of the database, right? So probably this particular site, assuming that Mary, the site 1 does not have the data. See, whenever a query is executed, understand the fact that the data will not be the query first executes in the standalone system. So there the data may not be present. In such cases, it will pass on to the communication module. It is not that the data is not present here. It is present. It is present across all the sites. It is present. Only thing is when the site 1 executed the standalone query, it did not fetch the data. That is when it fetched into, or it initiated the patch. The communication module patch was initiated. Is that fine?
Yes.
Yeah. DDBMS the hardware and the software requirements in any distributed systems. One, definitely workstations has to be there. Then see here, they do talk about computer workstations, but it is not necessary that it has to be a computer per se. I just now quoted an example of our cafeteria. See, in our cafeteria, we have our Kishan Bhai, billing us for whatever orders we place, isn't it? Does he use a computer there? No, he uses that machine, right? The billing machine. That machine is not a computer. That is a workstation, but yet it is a part of a distributed network where the data is fed somewhere already, and he's just fetching those data for report generation. So why I quoted that example is to tell you that though it says workstation, it is not necessary that it has to be a workstation. Even a printer can be a part of a distributed database system. Of course, it will not have a database per se, but then it is also a part of a distributed system. Then that is workstations are an important component of a DDBMS. Then we have all the hardware and the software requirements for any kind of data exchange, communication media. Basically, these two go hand in hand. You need to have a communication module or say a patch so that this work is being done. The transaction processor is required. A transaction processor is also going to take care of the atomicity property, which we learned in the ACID properties of RDBMS, where atomicity is of prime importance. I hope you remember what is atomicity. Can somebody quickly tell me what is atomicity? Quick.
A transaction is either fully completed or it is not completed at all. There is no partial state in between.
Yes, there is no partial execution of data, isn't it? It performs the entire job, or in case the system crashes or there's a transaction failure, it goes back to the checkpoint where the transaction initiated and it goes back to the initial state. That is atomicity. So atomicity is also maintained by this transaction processor. And of course, you need to have a data processor. I did tell you about the distributed data processing, where you have multiple processors. Different sites are there, and there would be some sites which are designated to perform certain process. So when I say certain sites are doing a job, it means that you require a separate module, a separate software is installed, not exactly software, a particular module which is present in one particular site, which is expected to do only that particular kind of processing. We saw in a schematic representation where one of the sites was doing the report generation, the other was doing a update of a payroll system, isn't it? So which means that the payroll system, the site which was doing the update on the payroll system did have a processing unit. When I say processing unit, understand that I'm referring to a module, a code, a piece of code which is expected to do that, which is expected to process that kind of data. So one site is going to do that job, and there is another unit which is present in site 2, which is going to generate the reports. So accordingly, what job is it assigned with? That particular module will be present in that particular site. That is the data processing unit. So everything will be a data processor. I mean, every every site which is going to process the data should have a corresponding data processor unit, or say a data manager. Okay, this again talks about a schematic representation of a distributed databases where you have 7 sites here. There is a communication network. All these 7 indicates the workstations. The communication network includes a communication module and the communication medium for easy or efficient communication. You have dedicated data processor. Even here you have a dedicated data processor, indicating that these are the 2 different stations where the data processing happens. You can see that the other sites among the 7 here, among the 7 here, there are 5 of them which are not tagged as dedicated data processor, indicating that only these 2 sites are the ones which do the data processing. Whatever data is fetched, it goes into any one of these based on whatever the requirement is, data based on what kind of processing has to be done to the data that you retrieve, and then it is given to the initiator of that particular query. Based on the distribution of data, based on the sites that you have, there is a categorization that happens here. You can see the horizontal dimension and the vertical dimension here. When we say single site process, it means that there is one single unit which is going to perform the processing. Here you have a single site data. You have one database which has, one site which has the entire database, and you have one single site processing, or you have multiple sites here and yet you have a single site of processing. This is, see, the columns here, the vertical dimension is representing the number of sites that is present in your distributed systems. So single site data, the number of sites that the database is present. You have a single site data here and single site processing happens. You have the database present at multiple sites and you have a single site processing, that is only one site is expected to do the processing. You have database, the second one is multi-site process. The data is present at one place, the data may be present in multiple places. So these are the ways. When we say different levels, this is actually these are the provisions, or these are the different designs that one can think of while defining your distributed database. See, the architect, or say the person who is going to design this distributed system is the one who decides which site is expected to do which job. So it is like a foundation for the designers to choose what has to be done. This particular table serves as a foundation for them, for the designers rather. See, I told you that in case of Amrita's counseling process, I said that it is a centralized system. Imagine that to be a distributed system. If it was a distributed system, what happens is the Etimadai campus may be having all the data with respect to the processing, when I say processing of the seat matrix. So assume that Etimadai campus will have one processing unit or one module which takes care of update in the seat matrix. So that module is present there, that functional module, or that particular patch is present in Etimadai campus, whereas report generation is present in Bangalore campus. So that processing unit is present in Bangalore campus. So you have multiple sites there and multiple site processing also, which means that the scenario which I spoke about just now belongs to this particular category. It is a fully distributed client server database management system, distributed DBMS. Because there is the seat has been selected by all the 3 campuses. Amritapuri chooses a seat, Bangalore campus, people come to Bangalore campus, they choose a seat, people sitting in Etimadai campus, they also choose a seat. So which means that they're already in a distributed connection. They're communicating through the module. Now what happens is when one person, let us say one person from Amritapuri chooses a seat. So that needs to be updated. Who is responsible? The Etimadai campus. So which module gets initiated? The module which is present in Etimadai site. After the update is done on the seat matrix, the person who has chosen a seat in Amritapuri campus, I mean, who is physically present in Amritapuri campus, he's supposed to get a provisional admission order. Who sends that report? It is the Bangalore site. Why Bangalore site? Because Bangalore site is given the responsibility, or it has the module, software module, which generates the report. So Bangalore module generates that report, passes that on to the Amritapuri campus, so that the student gets the candidate gets the provisional admission order. So what is this? This is a fully distributed system. Is this clear, students? Respond, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this clear to everybody? Why are you all so passive today? First day of the class, I mean, first hour of the day. Are you all there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Why
ma'am.
so passive? Are you not following what is being covered? I'm asking you something.
Following.
Clear, ma'am. It was clear.
What is it?
It was clear, ma'am. We understood.
Why? How is it that you do not have any doubts? You're asking me nothing. This is not the class which I was interacting with when I was handling RDBMS. Absolutely no questions. Anyways, that's fine. We'll meet again in the next session, students. We'll wind up for today. Okay. If you have any doubts, please do post in the Teams. We shall see. And Wednesday's lab session will start off with the distributed database queries. Okay. So shall we wind up?
Yes, ma'am.
For this, you respond so beautifully. Okay, fine. So we'll meet up in the next session, students. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.